What's good with the YouTube? You already know. Real Talk with Flacco coming live and direct. And on this platform, what do? We dive into sensitive issues, delicate matters concerning prison, gangs, community, recidivism, as well as addiction. And today I got a special guest, man. I've been wanting to touch base with someone on this program. We got a Chicago Latin King in here. Not just a Chicago Latin King, but one who did several years in the feds and was associated with a lot of homeboys, Norteños, and that's why he was in the feds. I'm going to introduce him right now. His name is Drama. What's good with it, brother?
What's up, Flacco? How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm feeling blessed, brother. So, I want to start this off simple, man. Just
Yeah, go
let's
ahead. Ask about.
let us know how you got involved with the Chicago Latin Kings. Let's know a little bit about the Latin Kings.
Okay, so basically, I'm just like any other normal Latin king, basically coming out of Chicago. A lot of us were just pretty much, we grew up in a neighborhood with them. Our family members from my mom was a Latin queen, my dad was a Latin king, all my uncles are kings. Over there's sections. So the neighborhood I grew up in was very diverse with Puerto Ricans and Mexicans. And as I was growing up in the '80s, I everybody would be at our house. Like everybody was family. My cousins were kings, or our kings or queens. Our nephews. It's just a family thing that continues just to roll downhill. You know what I mean? This is what we were born and bred and raised to do. And it's instilled in us. It's like a second religion. You know, and a lot of people get the misconception. I know the view of us has went sideways now on how society sees us, and a lot of it's got to do with the new generation because they're not being guided like the old school has when we were growing up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's not their fault. But I mean, like I said, I still got the old beliefs. I'm retired. I'm a retired brother. I did my time. I banged in the street. I've done it all. Hustled. Trust me, I've been through it all. But I left in good standings. And it's well respected. And I wish everybody well. I want everybody. And before we continue on with this, I just want to let you know, man, that what you're going in the right direction. Any voice that you put on YouTube is going to change someone's life.
Thank you.
You know what I
Appreciate
mean?
that. That's the whole mission,
And
brother.
yeah, and like I kind of like and since I've been home, I listen to podcasts every day going to work, and I listen to you and Rojo. I just started getting up on Gunner, um, and I did time with a lot of Norteños and Sureños, but I gravitated more with the Norteños because at the end of the, I kind of see them. They were something similar to us: the structure, the style,
Yeah.
the discipline, the respect. And not for nothing, they showed us mad love and respect, and I did the same for them. My people does the same for them. And I kind of think like we're kind of like a mirror. We just different names, you
Yeah.
know.
I've always heard that. I heard like
hmm
I've read some of the bylaw structures you guys have, and
hmm
you guys have a due process as well as far as before you guys
hmm
render decisions or disciplinary proceedings and so forth, man.
hmm
And
hmm
I've always been told it's either the Texas Mexican Emmy
hmm
or the Latin Kings that more along the lines kind of emulate the Norteño program.
Right, right.
You know,
We're more we're and it's crazy because we're like the Northerners in somewhat. I'm not something. We don't look at our people as a color. We look them at as a brother. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
we embrace every color or religion. It doesn't matter. I've been with King brothers that were Muslims, they were Christians, they're Catholic, whatever, Palestinian, Arabic, name it.
yeah.
I've had brothers that were Mexican, Puerto Rican, white, black. No, we look beyond that. They're brothers. They're Latin kings. You know what I'm saying? And I've met Northerners that were almost exact same thing, but
Yeah.
they follow structure. You see what I'm saying?
So,
And go
so
ahead.
let
I'm
me,
sorry.
so let me ask you something. What is
hmm
like the main core belief system as far as the ideologies? With if you can speak on it for the Latin
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
King,
I mean, basically, we. How can I say?
are
I
you a
had
move?
it
Are
just.
you a movement, or are they considered a movement or more of an organization?
No, I think we're more of we're more of a little both. I'm gonna say a little both. The agenda has changed. Before then, it was to uplift our people that were stuck in suppression. You know, But now the times have changed. Now we're in 2022, and you know it's just like I said, when the feds decide the federal government decide they want to come in and they would think, okay, well, and this goes for all organizations, you know, you turn around and they're going to come in, they're going to be like, well, we're going to go ahead and start cutting off the head of the snakes.
Mhm.
You didn't do anything. What you did is you took the structure that kept these young bucks that are coming up in line.
Yeah.
Now they're not following rules, they're not following regulations, they're not being respectful, and now they're running wild. And not just that, they're turning on each other, you know. And it's just getting wild. It's just too wild. But you know, as for myself, you know, I was raised to, you know, to love, honor, and respect, you know, my fellow brother or sister. You know, I was taught to respect my mom regardless, you know, and I grew up in the hood, like straight ghetto, but it was all about us. You know, one goes, we all go. You know, it's no speak on it. Even if you're on the right or wrong, I'm gonna ride with you. After it's over with,
Yeah.
then we're gonna deal with
Yeah.
you. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, we weren't allowed to do heroin. We weren't allowed to do, you know, like certain things. And I seen the same thing with a lot of Northerners too when I was locked up. Like, hey, they caught you doing it was pop out time. They were finna, and I've seen it. I've seen them calentadas, man. You know, and I'm Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I grew up with Puerto Ricans and Mexicans, and I don't even see that. I see us as one. You know?
Yeah. So, game banging out there in Chicago, man. Let us know a little bit how it really was back in the '90s. Is it
Oh, '90s was off. It was off the chain.
everywhere,
Like,
huh? All of us
man,
were off
it
the hook
was.
back then.
It's
You know what I mean?
different then than it was now. Back then, you actually had people busting out in the hood. Like people could stand on the block and they were banging. You know, we tagged up our hood. Like, man, you can come down. See, let me kind of like break it down a little bit. So I was listening to the other interview that you did with the other old school kings from New York. Now I've been to New York. I got family out there. I was going out there every summer, you know, and it was in the Bronx, the boogie down, South Bronx. And I ran into some kings on there, and let me tell you something, it's night and day, you know. But the good,
You guys are more about that gang banging action a little bit, huh?
right. But see that you got to understand their literature is different from ours. You know, like I said, you know, back in the day, like their shot caller was from Chicago, and he was ran out of Chicago. You see what I'm saying? He took our literature and rewrote it to his benefit to create his own. You know, that's why you probably did have a lot of they try to make it more political out there, but at the end of the day, they were actually doing a lot of backdoor stuff, and they were doing the movement for their own personal use. Us, we stood as one. You go into the joint, you a king. We eat first, and like we were right there, like you know, and it
How
wasn't
does
even
that work in
about
the
race.
Feds? Do you guys all run together, New York, Chicago?
Yeah, yeah, they fall in line. There was an issue because you know they call themselves the bloodline, but now actually it's starting to turn over because now you have these brothers coming in from New York and they're being taught correctly. We give them the option. Hey, you're gonna fall in line, you're gonna learn correctly, embrace it, or we're gonna smash you off the yard.
Yeah, because Chicago car is way more deeper than the New York car. I know
Yeah,
that as far as I
and
came.
and we're and we're motherland. We
Motherland, yeah.
were what created it. We're not saying it's not their fault that they were taught wrong. It's not their fault, but we're gonna embrace them because they believe in what we believe in. They're brothers still. We still consider them brothers, but we're gonna teach them correctly, and they're gonna learn not to do this, that, and the other. And
Yeah.
if you choose not to, we're gonna run you up top.
Okay.
And trust me, and it's gonna be bad. And I've seen it done.
Okay,
You know.
I got a good question for you right now.
Okay.
So I want to know who your guys' adversaries were on the streets and who your adversaries are in prison.
Okay, so like basically our you know when in Chicago you do have the People and Folks Alliance. Once upon a time it was everybody that were folks ran under the 6 Point Star. And they all allied against they had to come together because Chicago out of all the Latin gangs in Illinois period, the Latin Kings are the most dominant
Yeah.
in strength and numbers, you know, and we don't and I'm just that's just what it is. We built a name and a reputation for ourselves, and we'll go all the way. You know, it just is what it is because that's what's instilled in us.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
just saying us, that's everybody. The style out there is, I mean, that's where Al Capone came from. Gang banging was created, if people want to believe it or not. It was in Chicago, being the gangster life. Al Capone brought it to the table. You know, everybody else follows suit. And I'm not knocking nobody else. I'm just telling from what we know. So, you know, like I said, you have the people in the Folks Alliance. All the folks are smaller gangs, so they had to come together so they'll be able to defend themselves against us
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we were the minority. And what ended up happening is other gangs that were our allies became people. They were like, well, we're at war with them, but we're allied with you, so we're gonna come to the People Alliance. But as over a period of time, a wars started breaking out in between every group. There was no longer alliances because it was majority, money, or women.
No, always, always. That's what
And
it's all about, man.
and I've known many wars that kicked off because of women. And guess what? The women moves on to the next one. And
Yeah,
now we got bloodshed,
yeah.
you know. And I'll give you a prime couple examples. That was one of our strongest allies at once upon a time. That's one of our biggest enemies now.
Who's that?
Um, the Latin counts
Eleven counts.
from yeah, they're one of our, and they're from my neighborhood in South Chicago, you know, and they were with us. Them, the Latin Dragons, they were people, and they turned around and flipped folks because we were just went to war with them. And you know, it's just like I said, it killed or be killed, and it just got really really bad.
So
And a lot of it,
it's there's
mhm,
colors out there though and stuff like that. Hats turned a certain ways and
yes,
so forth.
yes. So like, here's the funny thing, because like as for the hat thing, for a prime example, people, they wear their hats tilted to the left. Everybody that's folks is tilted to the right. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when I went to New York one year for the summer, you know, I was out there, and this was like, I think, 96. So I was down there, I was talking to a girl at the bodega, which basically is just a grocery store. And I was talking to this girl, and a handful of dudes walked up on me, and they see me with my hat tilted to the left, and they're like, "Hey man, you need to fix your hat." And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, this is Latin King's hood, and you're wearing your hat to the wrong side." So I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold on. I am a Latin King, but I'm from Chicago." So they're like, "Well, what you're doing is wrong." Well, how can you? Who are you to tell me what I'm doing wrong when y'all are the ones that got taught wrong? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, guess what? You know, after having our little chit chat and our little spat, we came to understanding, and we just came to agreement. Hey, we're brothers. But you could tell that they were just like, they kind of see me as an outsider because I wasn't from there. New York guys, they tend to stick to their own, and you know, you got to kind of pretty much push that into them.
Yeah.
Very hard headed, man. Very hard headed. You know what
You know,
I'm saying? But I met a lot of good ones, though. A lot of good
we
ones.
get a lot of support from Chicago for some reason, man. You know, and I've always been intrigued by like I've
Hmm.
heard the stories, I've read the news articles, I've watched the movies.
Hmm.
How how bad is it out there with the violence right now?
Man, it's bad, man. It's so bad. Like, you got so many getting killed. You know,
Is
once
it gang
upon a
related,
time,
drug related, money related?
man.
I mean,
No, man. It's all gang related now.
so
It's just
so this is I'm gonna answer that question before you answer.
okay.
I've been told that the gentrification that they've done out there in certain areas has
Hmm.
forced certain neighborhoods to move into different areas, and that's caused a lot of conflict out there.
Well, that's within with the Morenos. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because see what happened is, you know, a lot of the low income back in the day was like Caprina Greens. A lot of the projects, a lot of projects was mostly African American. You know, and what happened is a lot them projects were already claimed by gangs, Mickey Cobras, Gangster Disciples, Black Disciples, uh, Vice Lords, Blackstones, name it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so what ended up happening is, you know, the mayor decides, hell, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna knock these down because we're getting all these federal RICO acts with all these gangs selling crack cocaine out of our government buildings, and we're gonna knock them down and build up condos because a lot of them projects were in toward the city, like deep into like close to downtown where you can actually see it.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we're going to add on and make it nice and bring richer people in here. But guess what? These people can't live there. They're poor. So
Okay.
now they're forced out into like the upper south side, like 66 in State or Inglewood or Roseland to the Wild Hundreds. And now what you're doing, them territories are claimed.
Yeah.
So now you're forcing these people to live in these areas, and now they're just going buck wild.
Yeah.
You
That
know?
makes sense. Totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. But they
Okay.
did that.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Okay. I
saying?
want to go into. I have three good questions I'm going to have. I have the first one. I want to go into. What was your controlling case that you went to the feds for?
So what ended up happening is I came down here. I got shot in Chicago. You know, my family moved down here too. I actually right now I reside in Georgia. I'm out
Okay.
here in Atlanta. So what ended up happening is, I was wilding out through the 90s, man, and my family already had migrated down here in 1990. But I still had all my I had, a bunch of family back there.
Yeah.
I was not getting along very well with my stepfather. My mom had remarried, to a paisa, and we just kept bumping heads. And, my mom's like, well, it's a new marriage, it's a new life. I can't have this. So what are we going to do? And I was like, man, I'll go back to Chicago. I don't want to be here anyways. It was kind of country, this, that, and the other back then. So I went back, and here I am running wild. My grandmother's living up there. My grandmother's, she's just like, you're running around in the street. You're coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're doing this, you're doing that. And then I got shot. So she's just, and I'm hustling, I'm hustling like 17, 18, getting this money. So I come down here. She's like, no, you got to go. You can't stay up here. You're going to end up giving me a heart attack. So I come down here. It's slow. I'm like, damn, it's slow as hell. It's like 96, 97. So I'm like, I got on with some paisas. I started rolling. Like, it was crazy. I started going back, down here. I was copping and I was taking it back up north, and I was blowing up. I was like, man, this is lovely. You know what I'm saying? And I just got caught up in the fast life, man. And then in 2003, I got hit with a conspiracy. Some people got caught up, threw my name in a hat. Next, I had a damn conspiracy case, and I didn't get caught with nothing. And here's the funny thing: what people fail to understand, that they need to understand this, they don't have to catch you with anything. All they need is 3 people to say your name and say you did this, that, and the other, and you're gonna get federally indicted.
Oh wow.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. And
So you got federally indicted under Conspiracy Act, right? And you had co-defendants. I take it.
yeah, I had co-defendants. The
A
girl I
few
was
will
with
probably
there,
tell it. Um,
yeah,
so you
and
get to the feds.
mm-hmm.
We what were the feds? What were the enemies in the feds? We haven't talked about that. Who were the Latin kids
Okay,
getting off with?
man, I'm gonna tell you, we got off once with the Sureños. It's we got off. We got off once with the Sureños because they're very racial. They're a very racial group. You know what I mean? They don't buy from the blacks. They don't deal with the blacks. Which, hey, all for those, that's on them. You know what I mean? But when one of my brothers walks on the yard and he's black, and y'all make a comment out the side of your neck,
Oh yeah.
and it offends him, and he takes off, we take off. And he is. And the funny thing is, they said it in Spanish while he was on the phone talking to his family, and it popped off in my unit in Atlanta. That was my first spot. 24 years old, USP Atlanta, and one of them, he was from. I think he was from San Diego. He was from Logan Street because I remember he had it on tattooed on his legs, and he just said that. He said that M word in Spanish, and he was talking to his boy. He didn't know that my boy can speak. See, that's where they fail to understand that a lot of the Morenos that are kings, they grew up with us. They understand Spanish. You understand what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
grew up like us. So he understood what he said. What he did,
Oh yeah.
put the phone down and rocked them. When he rocked them, we got up, we just took off. It's no question asked. We all sitting in the hole. And that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? And they cleaned it up. They said they're gonna clean up their car. They'll deal with them. It is what it is. They let us all back out. Their homeboy, they took care of it. They went about their business. We went about ours.
Politically, yeah, that's how it
Yeah.
goes.
Then
Um,
we had an incident with the Paisas in Kentucky.
that's the deepest
And
car in there, huh?
man, dude, oh my God. No disrespect to them, but them guys like roaches. They're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And not in a
That's what I
bad
heard,
way.
bro. Yeah,
Man,
yeah, they're the deepest car in the feds. Period.
yeah, but see, but they're not the respected. Yeah, and the reason why I say this is because they just want numbers. So a lot of them pick up dropouts, people that are hot, paperwork's dirty, and it just it's not really a clean car. You know what I'm saying? Like we pressed on them too because when I was in Beaumont, because guess what? One of our guys came on the yard and he caught his case for a re-entry in Texas, coming back through the border. He ended up in the Paisa tank because they keep the Texas
Yeah.
farmers separate from the Paisas. So he ended up in the Paisa tank, and the Paisas told him, "Hold up, you can't walk this. You can't walk with us. So if you're gonna stay in this tank, you're either gonna roll with us or you're gonna get smashed out." Instead of taking that, hell no, I'm gonna stand on my own. Let's do this. He decided to stay and covered up his crown on his forearm. When he came on the yard with us, he didn't know he was coming to Beaumont. He came to Beaumont, came on the yard. We seen the cover up. Somebody else verified that came off the bus with us. That was a Paisa. I said, no, he's a Paisa. We smashed him off the yard right there. He went on the yard 5 minutes. It's just that's just not something you do. You know what I mean?
Now, how were the Norteño car in there?
Oh man, they were like I said, they were good people. My
They were
first
rocking for a while
interaction,
too, huh?
oh man, they were. Listen, let me tell you something. When I first got to Atlanta, they were on the yard. Then they got into a issue. I was real cool with one man. He was from Cisco. I think his name was Chaka, something like that. I think it was something. It was a weird name, but he was light skinned, blue eyes, good dude, good dude. There was about 25 of them on the yard. They were starting to bring them all there, and because they didn't have many yards, and they were starting to bring them all there. I got off with them real good, and I got to meet Shorty. He was from Stockton, and then I met another one that was from somewhere up north. I think he was from Seattle, but there was a bunch of them there. But they were cool, man. They came on. They were like, "Hey, listen, we're such and such. I'll respect. If you need to communicate with us, let us know. We're gonna do our thing. You have any problems with us? This, that, and the other." And they kept every one of their guys in line. And I give them mad respect to that. And we dealt with them hand in hand. Like they were really good with us, man. They embraced us. They told us, "Hey, oh man, if you ever need anything, we there." We had plugs. We were good with them. Like it was like looking at brothers. Like all our guys got on. We never had an issue with none of them. None of them.
And they were getting off though, weren't they?
Oh man, they were taking flight. So anyways, the administration, they ended up switching the wardens. And they brought this cocky ass warden. Excuse my language. He came from a low security. Thought he never worked the penitentiary. So he said, "Oh man, I'm gonna push anybody I want. This is my yard." He had this big old little scene. "I'm gonna push anybody I want in my yard." Okay. They brought a Sereno on the yard. He didn't even make it to the unit. There were like 5 of them right on him off the rip. And the CO right there. CO see them coming, jumped out the way, and they just let him go. They started macing them, hit them with the little bullets, the rubber bullets. They're gone. Another incident popped off about next bus row. After about 3 or 4 buses, they said take them off. Because see, what ended up happening is the feds was getting so packed that they had all these paisas, and really, I'm gonna be honest with you, between the paisas, wherever the paisas are, the Serenos are with them. They walk hand in hand with each other on these yards. So with them being the most in numbers, they got the most yards. Now the Northerners, wherever you'll see the Texas farmers, like the Texas Syndicates, the Texas Amen, the Aztecas, you'll find Northerners. That's where you'll see them. And that's where they'll be with them on them yards. Now with the MS incident, they're going to be with them too, because they can't walk these yards with them paisa. I mean, with the Sureños now. You know, that's what they do. They grab them groups, they separate them. Because
That's what I heard. After a few times of getting off over and over again, man.
yeah.
Were you locked up with any NF carnales?
Yeah. So, anyways, what ended up happening is when there was an incident that popped off when the Northerners took off on Sureños up in oh my God, what was that? FCI
Sheridan, Oregon.
Yeah, Sheridan. They took off, and me, I was actually going from Beaumont. No, I'm sorry, I was coming from Kentucky to Beaumont, and I was in Oklahoma City. So what it happens is that if you have any type of status, they slam you in the hole before you go through captain's review or you go through SIS, the gang unit, see what tanks you walk, this, that, and the other. So they end up slamming me and two of my brothers because we were being shipped from disciplinary from Kentucky. We had got off on the paisas over there, so they stuck me and my two brothers in the hole, and all of a sudden, I seen that they had this cage and they had this one guy in there. So I was like, I'm looking. And I'm like, damn, who is that? And then I can hear one of the norteños saying, like down the hall and in one of the rooms, here comes the big homie. I'm like, I'm looking. Sure enough, they put him right across the hall from us. So he walks up, he looks, and I mean, he's just blasted full of tats. And he was already sitting in the hole in Sheridan. He was white as pale as hell. So I introduced myself. I said, yo, I'm Drama. I'm a Latin King. Woo, woo. And then that's when he told me, hey, man, my name is Skip. But he didn't refer himself as an NF, but he just said, hey, I'm Skip. But when he said that, I pretty much knew who he was. So then I was like, all right, bro, if you need anything, let us know. I got my two brothers in 2 cells down. We'll try to look out for you. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, hey, it's good, this, that, and the other. So they came down and told him where he was going. He was going to Pollock. So I was like, listen, our shot caller's there. We got about 50 brothers there. You'll be straight. And he was like, well, I'm going to my yard anyways, in which the Northerners were already deep there. They're probably 60, 70 deep there on that yard anyways.
Yeah.
So, they were going to brace him. And sure enough, it was cool because when they ended up shipping him out, I think 2 days later, and I ended up staying in OKC, I think about 30 days. After the hole, I was in the hole for a couple days. They shot me upstairs to the 6th floor, and I was in there with all the Northerners, man. I met one from Iowa named Mad Dog. He was my cellie. Good dude, man. Hey, just got a fresh 20 for some bullets, man.
Damn.
He was on his way to Coleman. To Coleman, Florida.
Yeah.
Good dude, man. Good dude. You know what I'm saying? And I give him mad respect to the Northerners that was there because something was about to kick off with the Morenos. And, man, they let them know off the rip, listen, because you seen all Morenos get to one side. And when we seen that, it was me and about 6 of my brothers there. There was probably about 20 Northerners in the tank. And they were just going different places. And, a couple straggling Latinos. And it was all over some food trays, man. All over some food trays. So what ended up happening is they were trustees. So the way they do it there, they usually grab 2 Latinos, 2 Morenos, 2 Blancos for trustees. They try to even it out.
Yeah.
But when there was a Moreno, un gordito, he was from like VA or something like that. For, being a trustee, helping out, giving out trays, cleaning. They usually bring up all these extra trays. They give them to them, whatever they do with it, whatever, or they can do commissary. Mad Dog always looked out for his people. And he was like, hey, man, look, those. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know what happened. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Wow, what's going on?
You're talking about the Northerners about to get out for the blacks.
I don't know. It's like it just went out.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can't even hear you. For some reason.
Keep on going.
Keep talking?
Yeah.
I can't even hear you. Say something.
What's up?
It's crazy. Let me see something. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on, let
It's
me
like
see.
it just went out. Like I can't even hear you. Wow, this sucks.
Can you hear me now?
I still can't. Let me see something. How about now?
Can you hear me? No?
I don't I don't understand what's going on. Like I can't hear you for nothing whatsoever, Flacco. Like I got no volume out of you whatsoever. All right.
You see that?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Let me see.
Right there.
Nothing. I don't know what's going on, man. It's just like, all right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I was like,
Sorry, guys.
damn.
I'm not going to be able to edit that just a little bit. So let's get, everybody's going to be like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
so
uh,
go ahead.
so, anyways, like I said, Mad Dog would come through with the food trays. He would look out for all of us. He'd be like, hey, everybody come down here, like all the Latinos, like here, eat, eat. He would share. So I guess dude got jealous because he, I don't know, something kicked out between them. He didn't do something. The CO didn't give him anything, and he gave everything to Mad Dog, and Mad Dog came and gave it to us. So he tried to kick off something racial, and me and my boys, and we went and told him, hey man, listen, we got your back, man. If y'all finna take off, we'll take off with you. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna let them all, because it was like, man, it was like 20 of them. We're not gonna let them just take off on you, and they're like, no, 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 we ain't gonna let this get racial. So Mad Dog, and one that had just came from Allenwood, I can't remember his name, but they approached them like, hey, listen, this is between them. If y'all want to square up and go in the cell, they're gonna square up. But we ain't finna kick off nothing racial because we're not about that. This ain't finna happen. And if it's finna happen, we finna go all the way. And they just squashed it. Like,
Yeah.
because they know. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, it's nothing against them, but we're gonna pull that knife and we're gonna do what we do. You know what I mean? And it's not worth it over a trade, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not worth
That's
it over no.
that's something about all the Latino groups, man. They don't play. They're playing with the
No, man.
knives.
No, we pull it and we go, and then
All
and
of them.
it's
Everyone. Sureños,
yeah.
Norteños, Latin Kings, all of them.
Yep.
It's that bloodline,
So,
bro.
man, and it's just in us, and just
Well,
I
okay,
don't
I got
know.
a question. I got a question that people are going to ask, right? You see how the
Okay.
Norteños do their security, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys have any type of rules or HHPs or anything like how we do it?
Yeah. Basically, so the way it worked is when we were on yards. I mean, as soon as you walk on yards, we checking paperwork off the rip. You know what I mean? But see, now in the feds, people getting in cell phones now. They can run your name before you get in there. Don't forget now in the feds, we have computer access now in the law library. Now, and in a lot of the penitentiaries, they actually, because they're locked down so much, they actually book computers in a lot of the units. So as soon as you come in, they can run your name in that law library because it's open.
Yeah.
If somebody on your case has an open appeal, they can look your name up and see if you testified or you cooperated. And man, not just that, these COs will tell on you in a heartbeat.
Oh
They'll be
wow.
like, hey, and I mean, I seen a dude's whole head get bashed in on a desk. Like literally, his skull was crushed in, and they threw him
Wow.
over a tier. Like they don't play it, man. I mean, and that's for a lot of groups. There's ABTs. I've seen the Aaron Brothers of Texas.
ABT runs with all the Texas car too, Texas FAMAS, right?
Yeah, a lot of them do. They run hand in hand, especially when it goes racial. You know, when the riot kicked off in Beaumont, like they were like, "Hey, if y'all take off, we're taking off with y'all." And we're us as Latin Kings, we
With the
told them off the.
when they
No,
backed up the Latinos?
well, we didn't because the problem was is we let them know off the rip. See, when I got to Beaumont, there was a lot of Tango Blast. There was a Tango Blast yard. There was about 300 of them, 400 of them there. And the reason is because a lot of them can't walk yards. You know, a lot of them, their car's very, very messed up, very messed up. And what I mean is, they got a lot of hot dudes in their car. A lot of them are ex dropouts. You know, they're like, they have this model where they can pick up gang members, Sureños, Norteños, Latin Kings that all come out of Texas. They can run Tango Blast, drop their hood when they come in, run Tango Blast, and then when they go back to going gang banging again. And that's a no-no. And we took off on Houston over in Beaumont over that because they were harboring a Latin King. He had a big old crown on his chest with a lion. He was Latin King talking about, oh, nah, I'm Houston. No, you Houston? Okay. We picked up them bats, 7 o'clock in the morning. We went out there and we took off on them.
With bats?
With bats.
You're getting active, huh?
We the reason why they took the bats, you know? And not for nothing, it was just, but then I also seen some bad things, like with the Southerners. I seen the Sureños, a black hand slipped on the yard. Okay. The only reason why administration found out about him because his own people got him up off the yard.
Oh wow.
And the reason, okay, so when I got there, there was about 80 Sureños on the yard. And there was probably more MS than them. So the MS were already in that.
They've been having issues in the feds. I heard that they've been having issues in the feds for a minute.
Yeah, I was there, man. I was there. I remember when the Sureños walked up on them and told them, "Hey, you run with us." They told them, "No, we don't. Let's go. Let's take off." And then they are like, the MS on that yard at that moment outnumbered them like 2-1. They told them straight up, "We are not running with y'all. Don't tell us what to do. Like, we'll assist you. You assist us, but y'all don't call it for us." And then they told them that because their shot call at the time was a dude that was from Long Beach in a wheelchair for the Sureños. And I remember they used to push him around all the time. And he told them, "Hey, the guy from MS-13, he was from Virginia. He was a shot call." They told him, "No, we don't. I'm not from Cali. We are not doing that." And he's like, "I'm from El Salvador." He told him straight up, we were all out there.
So how
like,
did the MS from California and MS from like out of states, were they like two different cars in there?
No, they fall in one car, MS.
So the Cali MS would run with the MS from Virginia and all that.
They're the deepest. I mean, you have a lot of MS-13 in Cali, but you got to understand MS-13.
In the federal system, they can give anybody a run for their money.
And now with all these federal indictments kicking in with MS-13,
oh yeah, I know.
They're from everywhere, not from Cali. They're from everywhere. So any little ones that are straggling out of Cali, they're going to fall in line.
How are they going to house them now? That's going to be a housing issue now.
Well, see, that's the thing is that MS-13 really never had issues with these Texas farmers or the Norteños. Let's be honest. They did. If they did, they were pushed into it because of the Sureños.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They never had an issue with.
So the Texas farmers and Sureños don't get along.
Oh no. Oh man, listen, let me tell you something. I was there when the war kicked off with the Aztecas in Kentucky and the Sureños. When they grabbed one of the Sureños and threw him through the lieutenant's office window.
Oh wow.
Told him, "Get him off our yard." And it was crazy because when I got to Kentucky, it was Sureños. There was no paisas yet. It was just Sureños, and there was about 3 Norteños, right? They were kind of still walking at the time, but they had hate. And the 3 Norteños were in my unit. So then all of a sudden, they made an announcement. The riot had kicked off in La Tuna in Texas, and with the paisas. So they were bringing all this, that their levels went up. So they brought all these Aztecas there. So I was like, one bus, then here comes another bus. They just shot them all straight there. They were cool. Man, their shot caller, his name was Cobra. He was a good dude. He was from Juarez. Good dude, came respectfully. "Hey, mucho gusto, this, that, and the other. I'm such and such, such and such. You got any problem with my guys?" This
Froze up, brother. Having technical difficulties. This is getting good though. There
You
you
see
are,
me?
back at it.
Yeah. So, anyways, they brought him in. They were
We're
there
gonna end
for
this in
about.
about four. We're gonna end this in about 4 minutes, just so you know. I want to do a part two with you, brother.
Yeah, no problem, no
Man, you
problem.
you you a good speaker. You got some good stories on here, brother.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit. I'll give you another part two whenever you're ready. Man, I
Hey,
got a lot of stuff going. Listen, man, like I
so
said,
hey,
I was in there for 12 and a half years.
listen, I'll let you finish this body last second, and then we'll close it and we'll do a part two, man. This is gonna be good.
No doubt. So, anyways, what ended up happening is they ended up bringing in one of their captains from Forest City about maybe a week and a half later, or something like that. And they pulled up, they tore the northern or something, and then they pulled up on us, and they like, hey, our respect, we're about to take off on the southerners, get off the yard, to get off the rec yard. Like we immediately got our brothers, man, and this, I mean, it was crazy because their captain had not been on the yard for maybe 20 minutes. And this was the middle of the summer. It was probably 100 degrees outside. They all came out there suited and booted, coats, hats, ready for
Nice,
war.
bats,
Man,
whatever.
listen, when they took off on them guys, oh my God, it was a slaughter, man. It was like nothing to be said. And you know what's crazy? The three Northern that were there, they were sitting up on the baseball benches just watching, like they were eating popcorn, like laughing, like it was that. And I mean, I'm not trying to make it seem like you know this and the other, because I seen it the other side of it too, you know. But man, it was bad. And when I mean it was bad, it was bad. Then when I got to Beaumont, I was there when the Aztecas took off on the Sureños, did the same thing over there, and they went through the metal detectors to the yard, and you could hear the metal detectors just beep, 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 and they just rushed the yard. The Southerners were out there playing handball, and the first one they caught was a Sureño named Conan, and they stabbed him about 30 times. He died 3 times. He's alive, but they had to flight him out. Man, and it was bad, man. It was bad. It was.
Feds are most definitely brutal. So okay, this is the homie drama man, Latin King man, pretty much retired, doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got a positive. We're gonna do a part two, man. This has
Yeah.
been. I've been enjoying this. I know the people are gonna love this, man. You got anything positive to say to the people?
Man, like the only thing I can say is, man, just being out in these streets, man. There's nothing at the end of that road but death, prison, or destruction. You know, get your education, stay out of these streets. These people out here, man, they're out to get you, man. You know, believe in God, believe in your family.
Yeah.
You know, stay focused, get you a good job. Trust me, you can overcome anything. Your mind is the strongest thing that a person can do. You know, you can do it. I did it. I came home with nothing, man, and I was blessed. I have everything, you know,
Most
and
definitely.
I push it for everybody. You know, I don't want nobody to walk in the footsteps I have, or I don't wish it on anybody, because I've seen a lot of bad. But thank God I was blessed with a strong mind and a good heart to overcome all the obstacles that were thrown on me and take advantage. You know, to come home and do the right thing. You know. So,
Well, I appreciate this. This was a really good interview, bro. I want to, when we come back, I want to go on to like the culture, generations and stuff. We're going to go back and forth between the, Latin kids out in the streets, family generations, as well as we're going to go into probably a little bit more about the federal stuff. So you guys, after this video, man, put some questions that I could maybe ask them on this interview, man. This was a good one, brother.
Yeah, no problem, man.
You articulate yourself
like
well. I enjoyed it.
Like I said, man, I was at a few different spots, man, and I've seen a lot of things. And I was locked up with a lot of your homeboys, man, and a lot of them are some really good dudes, man. A lot of them got a bad end of the sticks, and I wish them well, and I hope them well. And I'm out here with a few of them out here that I know from Atlanta, and
There's Sureños out there too. I heard in North Daniels.
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's a bunch of them. A lot of them just got
it's
hit
crazy,
with a lot
man,
of,
how everything has migrated. I tell you like this. 15 years ago, I didn't even know there was any migration. I never heard any of this stuff. Now it's like, man, they're everywhere.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now.
I got a question for you guys.
Sure,
Real quick before we end this episode.
Go ahead.
Okay, then we're gonna end it. There's Latin Kings in LA and Pasadena, East LA and Pasadena, that they think that I saved. Are they aligned with you guys? Or are they aligned to those guys down there?
Okay, so There was a situation with that in Herlong, the FCI Herlong out there in California.
Yeah.
And well, what ended up happening is two of them came on the yard over there, and we had some brothers out there. One of my boys was out there. He had it for us over there, and they approached them when they came through. They hit the unit together, that same unit. And from what I know is they approached them, said, "Hey, what's up? Y'all Latin Kings?" They're like, "Yeah." Well, we're Latin Kings too. One of them's like, "Well, I got my family's from Chicago," and the other one's like, "No, I'm from LA." And he's like, I'm run Sureño. So they're like, "Well, you're gonna have to cover up your tats because you can't claim Latin King. You can't have that on you." So they almost kicked off the yard over there with the Sureños. But whoever had the car over there had an agreement with our people to cover his tats. And the other one came with us. But
Okay.
he can no longer go back to he can no longer go back to LA.
Okay.
You know,
Interesting.
because he was going to be X'd out if he went back. So
There you
at the
have
end of
it.
the day, I mean, he did what he was supposed to. He's supposed to come around with his people because at the end of the day, don't know. A lot of them don't know that we are our own organization. We can stand our own 2 feet. You know
No,
what
I
I'm
know
saying?
that. You got.
And,
I mean, without continuing this interview too long, the Latin Kings are probably one of the biggest Latin groups, movements, gangs, whatever you want to label them as.
right,
So
right.
those are facts.
Right. And like I said, I'll give you a little bit more insight. We'll go for part 2. I'll give you a little bit more insight on, how we're structured and how we have chapters and
Yes.
stuff like that. Give you a little more insight how we do things and and then what's actually going on out here too in Atlanta, especially with your homeboys, my homeboys out here. I got a brother that's down here in the system right now. He's getting ready to come home in about 11 days or 9 days.
Yeah.
And his celly was a northerner. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
wow.
So yeah, and they were on a yard full of Sureños, and they bumped heads with them tough, and they were outnumbered, but they still strong. And guess what? They stood on the yard and they left them alone. They banged it out with them, but
That's how you already know how it goes, man.
it's
Everybody got
all
that
heart.
pride
It's all
eagle, bro.
heart, bro. It's
All heart,
all
pride
heart.
eagle.
It's all heart, man.
Anyways, we're gonna end this, man, because I can't go too long because I know
Yeah.
people. About 45 minutes is how I do these premieres.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this
That's
for
fine.
either Sunday or Monday, brother.
Yeah,
That
just
said,
hit me up, man. I'm here. I'm off on the weekends, whatever, man. And I'm at home. I'm a homebody person now. Just
I'm
let
gonna
me
end this.
know.
I'm gonna end this recording. We'll chop it up real quick.
All right, man.
That's it. I'm out.